Have you heard about the assassination of Abraham Lincoln?
Yep.
Have you heard about the assassination of JFK?
Yes.
Have you heard about the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford?
Yeah, I have.
Have you heard about the assassin?
No.
Well, then you better keep listening. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 20 of The Critical Reel. The podcast that takes a movie from the week, breaks it open, and reviews it. Hi, everyone, my name is Zachary Cruztan, and joining me this week, yet again, is...
Hey, guys. It's Zach's brother Jay here. Hello, how are you?
How are you doing today?
Very good, thank you.
Today is episode 20 of The Critical Reel. We have gone through 20 episodes, or at least I have gone through 20 episodes. You've joined me since
Psycho.
Was it Psycho? Was Psycho your first one? You didn't join me for The Walk or Black... I know you didn't join me for Black Mass.
No, I didn't join you for The Walk. It was Psycho. Psycho was the first one.
When was that? So that would have been end of October.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah.
Just over a month now.
So yeah, it's episode 20 of The Critical Reel. And our 20th anniversary... Our 20th anniversary episode, not 20th anniversary year.
We've done it for 20 years.
We're moving to the East.
Yes.
This week on The Critical Reel, because we've spent a lot of time in the West. And we're going to be talking about Hou Hsiao-Hsien's The Assassin.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a movie that I think premiered at the Cannes Film Festival this year.
Yeah, I did.
And it got a lot of warm reviews, a lot of critical acclaim. But as I will come to later on in this episode, it's been rather divisive.
Yeah.
Yes, it has been. And it's a movie that is, I would admit, is not for everyone. But we're very keen to do this movie because, like we said last week, we like to represent all corners of the globe.
Yes.
Because film is a global thing.
It is.
It's not just an American thing. It's not just a British thing. It's not just an Australian thing. It's a global thing.
Yep.
I mean, even countries like South Africa and Namibia and Nigeria make movies, so it's everywhere.
Nigeria. Have you seen Nigerian movies?
Probably.
Have you seen Nollywood movies?
I might have seen one in class.
Oh, really? A Nollywood film?
But I can't remember. Why? Have you seen?
Yeah, so some of them are pretty funny. It's pretty bad.
Well, then again,
they're mass-produced films.
Yeah, but that's the same for Hollywood films and Bollywood films. You get the really crap ones.
No, but as in really crap.
But you get really crap Hollywood films as well.
But like crap.
You get crap. What are you? No, you get crap Hollywood films. What?
I guess so, but you have to see one to understand.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Before we get into the episode, just want to remind all our listeners out there that you can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/The Critical Reel. And you can also find me on Twitter at The Critical Reel. Don't forget to visit hookedonfilm.com.au, local, up-and-coming, Perth-based online film magazine that does a lot of great stuff. I'm writing for them now. Go read all our reviews. Go read all our articles. And if you're listening to us on iTunes, as you should be, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, download our episodes, and rate and review. It's all very important stuff.
So everybody can find this lovely podcast.
It's incredibly lovely.
Yes.
It is so lovely. Jay, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at DialogueSC. You actually can find me on Instagram at the same name. Or I don't know why you would follow me. I barely post anything. I'm not the best
How many pictures have you posted on Instagram?
Like... In the double digits. It's not even triple digits. So yeah, I barely post anything. I'm not the best social media person, so just follow me anyway for fun, Yeah. So sometimes when I do post something, it's gold.
What? All right. If you have not listened to The Critical Reel before, let's just give you a brief rundown of the layout, format of our episodes and how they unfold as the minutes go by. We start off with the cast and crew and the synopsis. That's our first segment. Pretty straightforward. We talk about the cast and the crew, the key people who made the film possible, plus the synopsis that we pull from imdb.com because it's simple and everyone can understand it.
Yep.
We then move on to the background and the production of the movie. Again, speaks for itself. We just dabble in the history of the movie, what went into the production, what inspired it, what what problems arose.
And a lot of the time, it is filled with fun facts.
I don't have any fun facts.
I love my fun facts.
Yeah, no fun facts this week because, unless we are in China or Taiwan right now, the internet space is not filled with juicy facts about the assassin because it's just not an American or Western production.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so no fun facts this week. After the background of the production, we then move into the review or the discussion, as it were, where we break down the movie, we talk about it, we tell you if we liked it, why we liked it, if we didn't like it, why we didn't like it, and all that stuff. And the very last segment of our episodes is... What is it, Jay?
The recommended viewings.
Indeed, and what are the recommended viewings?
It is a bunch of... Well, not bunch of, but we
could
can...
be a bunch of.
Yeah, it could be a bunch of
yeah.
films that would supplement the viewing of the film that we are reviewing for this week. And
exactly.
It's to either enhance your viewing of the film or it just kind of relates to it.
Yes. And why don't you just give our listeners a teaser? How many recommended viewings do you have this week?
I have 2.
You have 2. I have 3.
3?
I have 3.
Okay.
All right, so that's the general format of our episodes, and we're going to dive right into the cast and crew and the synopsis of The Assassin. Yes. Were you going to say it?
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say it. I could see you saying it. So, The Assassin is directed by Hou Hsiao-Hsien, who is a Taiwanese filmmaker. Yeah. And he directed quite a number of movies in the 80s and the 90s. He directed A City of Sadness, which is perhaps his most famous movie. Regrettably, we have not seen these movies.
Yes.
I have A City of Sadness on my list that I wanted to see it before the recording of this podcast, but I didn't get around to it. Regrettably, we have not seen his past movies,
unfortunately.
So forgive us if this review is juvenile crap.
Crap.
No, it won't be. He also directed The Puppet Master and a movie called Millennium Mambo. That's just 3 titles that I picked out. He's got I didn't really count, but he's got, I think, close to 15 movies, maybe.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say 50. I was like, what?
Yeah, no, not 50. He hasn't been directing that many movies. The Assassin is okay. By the way, forgive me if I do not do many of these names justice, because I'm not the best Mandarin name pronouncer in the world. But yeah,
better than most.
Better than most.
Admit
yes, but just a disclaimer in case there are Chinese listeners out there and you just are completely insulted by my lack of whatever. The Assassin is written by Hou Hsiao-Hsien. He's one of them. He's also written by Chu Tianwen.
Okay.
Xie Haimeng.
Okay.
And Zhong A-cheng.
Okay.
Yeah. Chu Tianwen, the second name I mentioned.
Yes.
She co-wrote / wrote many of Hou Hsiao-Hsien's movies.
Oh, nice.
So A City of Sadness, I think, like Puppet Master as well. So it's a collaboration that's going on.
Teamwork.
Yes. The cinematography is by Mark Lee Ping Bin. Mm-hmm. So he has an English name. It's Mark Lee.
And
not the Singaporean Mark Lee.
Yeah.
No.
Whoever out there knows that Singaporean Mark Lee is not him.
Yes.
He did the cinematography for In the Mood for Love.
Did he? See, I didn't.
Yes.
I wouldn't have known that because I did not watch that film. And you did.
Yeah, I did. And yeah, I absolutely love that film. Cinematography in that film is brilliant, absolutely amazing.
Really?
And
and look at The Assassin. There you go.
Yep.
So
we'll talk more about the cinematography later on.
The music for The Assassin is by the maestro Lim Gyong. Yeah, he's not a maestro. I have no idea.
I really thought you were gonna say names. Oh yeah, he's done this movie and this movie. And like, okay.
Hey, he could be a maestro in Taiwanese circles or Chinese circles. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where he's from. He might be from Taiwan. I'm not sure.
I did enjoy the music in this film though.
Oh, so did I. Yeah. Oh, there was that rumbling thing. Yes. The Assassin runs for 1 hour and 45 minutes, and it stars Shu Qi as Nie Yinniang, who is the titular. Is it titular or titular? I've always said titular, but everyone says titular.
I always thought it was titular.
All right, whatever. Okay, she plays the titular assassin, Nie Yinniang. It also stars Chang Chen as Tian Jian.
Yeah.
Zhou Yun as Lady Tian.
Mm-hmm.
Satoshi Sumabuki as the mirror polisher.
Japanese.
It's a Japanese guy. Oh. Satoshi Sumabuki.
Right.
And he started as the mirror polisher, and I can't remember who that guy is, who that character is. What is a mirror polisher? Was there anyone in the movie who was polishing mirrors?
There was one guy who, remember, he had that square thing and he was polishing.
I don't recall that.
Oh.
Was that a different movie?
Might have been, but.
Was that? Anyway,
sorry,
he's in the movie.
Yeah.
This Japanese guy is in this Chinese movie. An assassin, played by Hou Qi, accepts a dangerous mission to kill a political leader, played by Chang Chen, in 7th century China. And it turns out that her target is a cousin.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, so
we find that out early on.
Yeah, it's not a spoiler or anything. Yeah, we're told very early on that the whole thing is at the start of the movie, Hou Qi is given or Yinniang is given an assignment.
Yeah.
And she doesn't go through with the assignment because as she's about to dispose of her target, she sees that the target is with child, and that kind of
child.
Okay, not with child. With a child.
With child.
Yeah, with physical child.
He's not pregnant.
With physical child next to him in the same physical vicinity.
Space.
Yes. And then she realizes that she can't kill him because the child's there. And her boss, who is a
nun,
who is a nun dressed in white, and she is sort of this assassin's what is she? She's like a mentor
like
of sorts.
Pimp.
Yeah, she's like an assassin pimp, really. And she's very upset that Yinniang has not killed this corrupt government official, and as punishment, she says, or not as punishment, but to prove her worth, she orders her to kill her cousin, who is another corrupt political leader.
Yeah, and when she gives Yinniang the assignment, she straight out says that no, it's your cousin, right? So we all know that.
Yeah, it's not a spoiler. We know from the beginning that she's supposed to kill her cousin. All right, it's time for the background on the production of The Assassin, and it's a very short background on the production because, like I said, in the internet space, living in a Western society, there's not going to be very much information on any website unless I'm willing to read through, pages and pages of Mandarin, which I am not. We are not going to be able to find a lot of information on on Eastern movies unless they are, Infernal Affairs, popular kind of Eastern movies, or Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, popular kind of. This was Hou Hsiao-Hsien's first film in 8 years. The first film that he directed in 8 years. Right. His last stint as a director was a segment of the anthology of the Chinese anthology film 10+10, and he directed the segment called La Belle Époque. Yeah, it's a French title in a Chinese film, and that was in 2011. His last full feature film that he directed, for himself, by himself, was Flight of the Red Balloon in 2007. So that was 8 years ago.
Was that based on that short film?
What short film?
The Red Balloon. I believe it was a French short film about this boy following a red balloon. I don't know.
No idea.
Okay, never mind. All right.
Could very well be.
Okay.
I feel ashamed that I don't know that.
Oh, I thought you would have.
Whatever.
Yeah.
The plot is loosely adapted from a 9th century martial arts story entitled Nie Yinniang, who is the name of the assassin, and it was by Pei Xing.
Pei Xing.
You're pacing a lot.
All right.
Up and down the halls, writing a book about Nie Yinniang. He was pacing.
Yeah.
And his name was Pacing. And it's one of the core Chinese martial arts texts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from 9th century, so a really long time ago.
9th century. God.
And so the story is loosely adapted from that.
Right.
The movie was filmed in northeastern China, the Hubei province, along with Inner Mongolia. And there's a quote from Hou Hsiao-Hsien. He said, when he looked upon the forests and the lakes of
China,
of this land, said Inner Mongolia. It was like being transported. He's not English.
No, he's not.
I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna do a cheesy Chinese accent either. So I'm just gonna stick to the English one. Yeah. It was like being transported into a Chinese classical painting. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did not say it that way. But it's very true.
Yeah.
He felt that the landscape that he was in felt like a Chinese classical painting. When you watched the movie, a lot of the
showcased
very much like that.
Well.
Yes. The production ran over its Taiwanese budget, so this is a Taiwanese movie. It had a Taiwanese budget of just under $4 million.
That's small.
Very moderate, yes.
Yeah.
So it ran over the budget, it ran over time, ran over schedule, and this required a rather drastic and momentous move. The movie got a major investment from China.
Whoa.
And if you know the history between China and Taiwan, it's been a very tumultuous history.
Yes.
And China invested more than half of the film's budget. So it brought the overall budget up to 15 million.
What?
And this was a first for Hsiao-Hsien. This is the first time his film had ever received money from China. So it's an interesting.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's an interesting. Maybe because he was adapting a very classic Chinese martial arts story. Who knows?
And that's why they wanted it to be good.
Maybe that could very well be the reason. I do have a fun fact, actually. Just one fun fact. We're almost done. We're almost done with the background and the production already, by the way.
Fun facts. Woo!
One fun fact for The Assassin. And this is according to IMDb. So I scooped it up from IMDb. The actors in this movie speak in classical Chinese, which was mostly used at the time for texts and poems and pretty much in text, and it was almost never spoken.
So it's almost like a Chinese bard speak almost. Right?
Yes, almost. And it was so different that the final version of this movie has Chinese subtitles.
Oh,
so I think even if it plays in China, it has Chinese subtitles, which is interesting.
Yeah.
It's almost as if like you said, it's almost like watching Macbeth, which came out this year with Michael Fassbender. It's almost like watching that film with English subtitles.
Yeah.
It's almost the same thing. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
And I think Macbeth would have been very interesting if they had done that. Although it would have taken away from the magic of
probably
Shakespeare's bard speak, but whatever.
Nice juicy fun fact.
That was a very juicy fun fact, yes. I never fail to surprise. Okay.
Yeah, right.
That's done with the background and the production of this movie. We're going to jump into the review and the discussion of The Assassin. And Jay, would you like to start?
Yeah, all right. I don't know if you have, because last week you didn't split your review section up into.
Yeah, I didn't do it again. No.
Oh, okay, I just do it anyway.
Yeah, no, that's fine. If it,
right.
go for it.
Okay.
Start with why don't you start with the good points? I will give my whole review, and then you can finish off with your bad points.
All right.
I'm sandwiched between you.
Don't have much bad points anyway.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Start the ball rolling.
I have
no idea what I said.
Right, one of the things that really fascinated me about this film was the format in which it was presented. Well, I wouldn't say...
as in visual format or narrative format?
Narrative format.
Okay.
Yeah, narrative format.
Yes.
It the whole film plays out like a dream. And it takes a bit of getting used to because it's
interesting. Interesting you should say that, because I have on my notes here the exact words verbatim. Almost plays out like a dream.
Good job. High five.
Yes, we just high fived.
Yes.
Carry on.
This dreamlike thing takes a bit of getting used to because it's so peculiar, right? And not many movies are shaped this way. And but once you acclimatize to it and you can make sense of what you're watching, it gives the whole film a dreamlike quality.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of shots that have very muted colors and a soft kind of glow, which again is very dreamlike. Although I don't think that was intentional, but it's still, carry on.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Moving on from that point, the cinematography in this film, is nigh on perfect.
Yes.
It's astoundingly gorgeous.
Yes,
and it has a very restrained beauty. I think.
Yes, it does. This is, I think, without a doubt, the most beautiful the most beautiful movie since Ida. Ida.
I think it's Ida. About Ida.
Yeah, which is the Polish film that premiered last year and should rightly have won the
Best Cinematography
Academy Award for Best Cinematography.
Was it even nominated?
It was nominated.
It
was
nominated. Okay.
But it's just a sham that Birdman took the prize over Ida. If you haven't seen Ida, go see it for its cinematography.
It did win Best Foreign Film.
Absolutely spellbinding.
Best Foreign Picture, it did win.
It did win for Best Foreign Picture, so it shouldn't be that alien to you. You should know the name, I suppose. This movie, The Assassin, is the most beautiful movie since Ida.
Yeah, because Ida
not even kidding. And
is unbelievable.
Yes, and both movies, interestingly enough, are kind of shot in a 4:3 or pseudo 4:3 aspect ratio, which is just another fun fact, I suppose.
I would love to do an episode on Ida.
Who knows? Maybe I don't know. Maybe one day. In the future, we might do an episode on Ida. Maybe if you listeners out there recommend us do an episode on Ida, just tweet either Jay or myself, or you can Facebook me. Let us know if you want us to do an episode on Ida, and we will slot it in somewhere, and we will do an episode just for whoever wants us to do it.
Gladly,
yes. We will gladly do it. So let us know if you want an episode on Ida. Jay, carry on with your review.
We discussed this whole Ida resemblance during the film. Well, not really discussed, but we mentioned it.
Yeah, we did.
And every shot was like a painting, as we said earlier as well. The assassin, the landscapes and colors in The Assassin just completely blew me away.
Which is another interesting point because Ida is mostly in black and white.
Yeah.
So
but it's still similar.
Both beautiful cinematography. One's in rich, vibrant color, and the other one's in black and white. It's quite. I almost see them as sister movies now because of the cinematography.
Outstanding compositions. Composition is everything in those two films. Just brilliant compositions.
Yep.
And a lot of the time, you well, for me, I barely cared about what was happening on the screen because I was what was happening, right?
As in terms of the story.
Yeah.
In the
because I was just gawking. I was just gawking so lovingly at every shot.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Well, yeah. Do you have anything else?
This is a movie that is incredible. It's very mystifying.
Yeah.
It's a very mystifying because, like you said, it plays out like a dream, and it makes the movie incredibly. It's a confounding movie, and it's very unapologetic.
Yeah.
It's very unapologetic. It knows precisely what it wants to be, and it really does not care if people follow, because the plot. It's hard to follow some plot points. I mean, and the structure of the movie is interesting. We know there's an overarching story, and we can follow the story quite comfortably. We can follow the story of her having to find her cousin and assassinate him, but she was at one time engaged to be married to this cousin, and so obviously she's conflicted because she doesn't want to kill him, but she's been ordered by her non-assassin pimp to kill this guy, and so she's conflicted, and we can follow this story, and we can actually see that in the overarching sense of the movie that there is conflict and there is a story progression. But when you break the movie open and sort of try and follow plot points as they are, it becomes a bit difficult.
Yeah.
And there are some scenes that seem to happen for no reason whatsoever, And I'm gonna talk about this. There's a nice sort of combination of long takes and short takes, and there are very long takes that seem to be about nothing, and there are short takes that don't last more than 5 seconds. Like there's a shot of kids playing football, like in the garden, and then boom, it's gone. There's a shot of horses sort of trotting into the village, and then that shot's done.
Well, these shots could be slightly reminiscent of Yasujiro Ozu's pillow shots.
What pillow shots?
Oh, do you not know Yasujiro Ozu's pillow shots?
Might be no.
Really? Oh, what?
Well, educate me about Yasujiro Ozu's pillow shots.
So, Ozu's pillow shots are these shots that it seems random. He randomly just slots them into his films, and they're just of random things, like a kettle boiling on the stove.
Oh, so they're not actual shots of pillows?
No. They're called pillow shots, yeah.
Right. We're having a very serious discussion about family here. Have a shot of a pillow. We're going to have dinner. It's a wonderful feast. You have another shot of a pillow.
Yeah. That's what made Yasujiro Ozu great.
Yeah, he just loved his pillows.
It was just shots of clothes drying on a clothesline.
Maybe. Okay, then maybe that's, it's similar. Like maybe Hsiao-Hsien has that kind of, I don't know, because a lot of these shots, if you think about them, they're just there and then they're gone. Yeah. They're very fleeting shots that don't seem to last very long. They don't seem to be about really anything. But it kind of adds to the mystery of this movie.
Same with Ozu. It adds to the viewing of his films. It's great.
And then this is, I mean, it's still a wuxia movie. Wuxia is martial arts. It is still a wuxia movie. And there are sudden explosions of martial arts. There's some very swift scenes where fighting does take place, and you can still see, there's a shot where Yinniang leaps from the floor onto the roof of a building, and you can tell that it's very martial arts. The lovely wire performance. And this movie has certain explosions, but for the most part, it's a very serene, very calm kind of martial arts movie.
I honestly wouldn't even classify it as a martial arts movie.
Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit, because I have a very interesting point here.
Is it like a definition of a martial arts?
No, nothing like that. But But yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
There are these explosions of martial arts which kind of punctuates the movie, because for the most part it runs very, very, like I said, very calmly, although in a very confusing manner. And like we talked about, it's very lavish, it's very extravagant. Their costumes, the colors, like you mentioned, the carpeting on the floor, the drapes, the robes, the light fixtures. It's a very extravagant movie, and it just adds to the visual opulence of it all, if you will. And okay, I have another point here about the cinematography, but we already talked about it. There's a particular shot that I can remember. And you might have your own shots that you remember from this movie, but there's a particular shot of this movie where the nun ninja assassin pimp is standing on a cliff. Yeah, she's standing on not really a cliff, but she's standing on top, like on a mountain, on a ridge, and she's sort of reprimanding Yinniang, who is a bit lower down in the frame, and she's all apologetic because she couldn't carry out her mission, and then Yinniang leaves. And the nun is still standing there, and she's dressed in white, like just this glowing white, standing on top of this on this ridge.
Yeah, and the ridge, not the ridge.
And you can see behind it there are mountains.
Yeah, so the shot is from behind, and you can see down the mountain or down the ridge. And
pretty much
into the open expanse.
And then all of a sudden, this mist just rolls in from the left side of the frame. This mist just starts to roll in. And it completely blocks out the background of the shot. And it changes the dynamic of the shot so drastically that it literally becomes two shots.
Yeah.
It almost becomes like two shots. You've got this one shot where you can see this gorgeous scenery, and you can see this nun dressed in white on the ridge, and then the mist rolls in. I don't know whether it was serendipity or whether it was planned. It just rolls in and covers out the background, and all you have is this grey, misty backdrop with this lone ridge with the nun standing in front of it.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful shot.
I remember that shot.
If it was planned, they planned it to perfection. If it wasn't planned, it's a miracle of movie making.
Because how would you create that amount of fog?
It reminds me of this. Of course not, because this is coming off the top of my head. I can't remember the name of the movie. I think it was a Terrence Malick film. It might have been. What's the Days of Heaven? Is it Days of Heaven? The one that was filmed. Mostly in the magic hour. I can't remember. I can't remember the title, and I hate myself now. But it reminds me of that because in one of Roger Ebert's reviews for that movie, he mentioned that there's a scene where this character, who I think is about to run into a lot of trouble in the story, it's an extreme wide shot of a field, and you can see this character. He's a small speck on the screen, and he's running through the field, and just at that moment, a cloud passes overhead and covers the character in deep shadow.
Oh my god!
He runs into the shadow of a cloud, and it's just incredible foreshadowing for this character's journey through the story, because he's gonna run into danger later on in the story. And Roger Ebert said that's a truly serendipitous moment, because you can't plan something like that. You can't plan for this cloud to just roll overhead.
Create a cloud,
yeah. And this was a movie that was I think in the mid 80s or the late 80s, so they couldn't have just CGI the cloud in. So this was a real cloud that was passing overhead, and it was one of those miraculous moments because you couldn't have asked for it any other way. And I think it's the same for this one, even though there's no real significance to the mist rolling in, but in terms of beauty in the shot,
it's incredible.
Couldn't have been planned, but adds to the beauty of this movie quite tremendously.
Yes. I do remember that shot very well.
Yes. Okay, so as I said earlier in this podcast, this is a very divisive movie. Not particularly between East or West or whatever, but between critics and audience.
Yeah.
Okay, this movie's got a 6.5 on IMDb.
Oh yeah, I just saw this yesterday.
Yeah, this movie's got a 6.5 on IMDb, but it's got an 80 on Metacritic.
Yeah.
And 80 is very high for any movie. On Rotten Tomatoes, critics' score is 83%.
Which is also high.
Audience score is 56%.
Oh my god.
So, see, this is a movie that critics have loved, but audiences have hated. And And okay, I pulled up a review from IMDb, and this is not a critic's review. This is an audience review.
Oh, I can't read those.
Yeah, I can't read those either. But I'm not trying to come off all sanctimonious and pompous here. But a lot of the reviews are atrocious. Really bad. I'm not going to mention who this guy is. Obviously, I'm just going to quote his review or parts of his review. And this is, quote, I started to wonder if I was unfairly placing my Western film literacy standards on an Eastern film. But then I thought about the countless examples of Asian films that are beautifully lit, framed, and in perfect focus. Oh, by the way, I think he gave the movie like 1 or 2 stars. Okay, so this is a bad review. Yeah. And I was just thinking, what movie has he been watching that he thinks The Assassin is not beautifully lit, framed, and in perfect focus? What? Because he said, like, I was starting to wonder about unfairly placing my Western film literacy on an Eastern film, but then I thought about the countless examples of Asian films that are beautifully lit, framed, and in perfect focus, and it obviously drew his attention away from The Assassin. I don't. Yeah, so I mean, okay, obviously this guy, and for most of the general public, according to the scores, have gone into this. He has gone into this movie with a certain set of expectations, and this movie obviously has not met them. He goes on to say, and he kind of admits that, but it's just a very unfortunate and almost ignorant approach to watching a movie like this. He goes on to say, if you're familiar with Hou's previous works, then you may appreciate The Assassin, which is fair enough. You know, if you're familiar, if you're not familiar with Hou Hsiao-Hsien's work and you go and see this movie, you might be, oh, what the hell is this? But if you're familiar with his work, yes, you'll appreciate this movie more. I wanted to like it, but my unreasonable Western desire to see a film that is in focus means that The Assassin really wasn't my thing. Buyer beware.
I think he just has bad eyesight.
That was, he might have just forgot to bring his glasses.
What was not in focus?
There was not a single shot in this movie that was out of focus. I don't know what movie he was referring to that was in focus.
This guy hurts my soul.
Yeah, it's, I just think it's a slightly ignorant thing to say. I mean, yes, you can go into an Eastern movie with Western expectations. That is natural, especially if you've grown up in a Western society. Yeah. But if you want to use terms like Western film literacy standards, you should know the kind of movie you're going in for. I mean, you sound like you have a good grasp of film knowledge. You should know the kind of movie you're going in for. I think that kind of sums up the entire Western perception of this movie, which is very unfortunate. And of course, I'm not saying all this to. Are you okay? Are you all right?
I'm good.
Would you like? Yeah. Yeah. Would you like a pat on the back?
No, I'm good. Okay. I'm good, thank you.
I've completely lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
Talking about the Western view on the film.
Western view of the... Okay, let's just leave it at that because I can't remember anything. And it's... Because based on this... And I just think that Western audiences wanted this movie to be a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Because to them, that's what a martial arts movie is. That's what a Chinese martial arts movie is, apart from seeing Jackie Chan bumble about, on the set of Rush Hour. Yeah. To most Western audiences, and I'm not generalizing, I'm not trying to come off all, a big know-it-all, and I'm the guy you should be listening to. But I do believe that for most Western audiences, the general public, to them, a movie like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is a martial arts movie. Yeah. House of Flying Daggers, that's the kind of martial arts movie they want to see, where it's just filled with colors and kinetic movement and fighting and all that stuff. And when they come across a movie like The Assassin, which, as you said, is
restrained.
Yeah, and is billed as a martial arts movie, where's the martial arts in this movie? Even though it's there are scenes of it.
That is... it's not one of my bad points, but it's just one of the... Because I felt that some of the fight scenes were too short. Like they...
Yeah. Interesting you should say that. Interesting you should say that, but carry on.
All right.
Because, I'm going to... carry on.
I felt like the fight scene started, and then I was like, all right, getting into it, and then it just ended. And
okay.
It's not a bad point. It's just I was like, I had certain expectations, and I wasn't disappointed by it, but
it just played against your expectations.
Yes. That's it. And I mean, with that said, the fight scenes, no matter how short, they were still, of course, choreographed to the T and
Yes.
a beautiful sight to behold, as is to be expected of these Chinese fight scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But see, again, with a guy who reviewed that movie on IMDb, and I think for, again, most of the general public, they obviously are very unfamiliar with Hou Hsiao-Hsien. Because if you know Hou Hsiao-Hsien's approach to filmmaking and his method of filmmaking and the subject matter that he tackles, I mean, like I said, I have not seen his films, but I know quite a bit about him. You would know that he would not make a movie like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. He's not a Zhang Yimou or a Wong Kar-wai, or even Wong Kar-wai when he did martial arts with the Grandmaster. It was not like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. There was more martial arts than The Assassin, but it was still a more subdued movie. So Wong Kar-wai, maybe not, but like filmmakers like Zhang Yimou who would do the extravagant martial arts movie. People just don't. I think they just don't know Chinese directors. And so when they see a movie that is supposed to be a martial arts movie but directed by some guy, they just assume it's going to be a martial arts movie like they expect. Where they don't know who the director is, they don't know his style, they don't know his anything.
Zhang Yimou did House of Flying Daggers, right?
Why don't you just check it out?
I think he did.
Why don't you check it? I'm pretty sure he did Hero. I don't know if he did House of Flying Daggers. House of Flying Daggers. He might have done it. Check it while I talk.
I'm fairly certain he did.
So I don't know. This is a movie. Okay, I'm gonna warn anyone who's listening that if you go and see The Assassin, and I believe you should. I believe you should see The Assassin, even if you are not a fan of foreign films or you're not a fan of Chinese cinema for whatever reason. Go and see The Assassin because it is visually stunning. So I'm going to recommend this movie. But
wait, which movie? Oh,
The Assassin. The Assassin. Yes. You're not paying attention.
No, I'm doing research here.
Go and see this movie. I recommend it. But go in prepared to be confounded. Go in prepared to be confused. And if you are confused during this movie, as I were at some points, and I'm sure as you were as well, don't be alarmed. Because I read a number of reviews, and everyone has admitted to being confused at some points. Everyone has admitted that the story is not exactly linear. It's not exactly fluid. But go in for the visuals and go in for the overarching story and the feeling that this movie gives you. Don't be
scared,
naive. And don't be naive in expecting this movie to be something that it's not. Because I agree with the critic scores. I agree with 80% on Metacritic. I agree with 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think 56% on Rotten Tomatoes is an insult to this movie.
It's appalling.
Because you can tell that a lot of passion and a lot of time has gone into the making of this movie. And what have you found, Jay?
Yes, it was directed by Zhang Yimou. House of Flying Daggers.
And that's a movie that I have yet to see and I really want to see.
Yes. So do I.
Yeah, so what are your bad points? I've pretty much said no?
Yep, that's it. My only not that fight scene.
Oh, well, I mean the fight scenes in general.
I felt they were a bit too short. That's my only bad point actually.
But see, again, those were like punctuations of violence in a movie that was non-violent.
Yeah, so it's not even a bad point. It's just something that went against my expectations. But yeah, so basically I don't really have any bad points because I love it. That bad point, I just can't I can't say anything else, but just bad point, right? I'll call it bad point. That bad point kind of ties into one of my recommended viewings, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What is your best moment? Of Hou Hsiao-Hsien's The Assassin?
All right. I wonder if you could have predicted this one, and probably not. My best moment was a scene in which Lord Tian's wife, Lady Tian, was attacked by this voodoo smoke monster. Yep. And because for me that was my best moment. That whole scene was my best moment purely because of the cinematography.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
That whole hallway was lit and absolutely
framed
beautifully. Yeah, lit and framed absolutely perfectly. And then the fight scene that ensued after that was also great. Yeah, that was my best moment. What was your best moment?
My best moment ties in to your one and only caveat with this movie. My best moment is the fight in the jungle. The fight scene in the jungle. There's a sort of an extended fight. Well, not really extended.
Okay.
But a fight scene in the... And I suppose I could extend my best moment further to sort of encompass all the fight scenes in this movie, because I like the fact that they cut away before you get comfortable in the fight scene.
Okay.
I like the fact that you are settling down for the fight and then it's over. It cuts to the next shot of a tree or something.
Right.
Because again, it's just that is Hou Hsiao-Hsien being incredibly unapologetic with this movie. He is not stopping to give the audience what they want. Okay. And I like that. I like that he's doing his own thing. And it makes the pace and the rhythm of the movie just all the more intriguing, because again, you're watching this fight scene and you're getting invested, and all of a sudden it's over. If it were any other movie, if it was a movie like House of Flying Daggers, I would be incredibly disappointed, because House of Flying Daggers has so clearly set itself up to be a movie of extended fight scenes and lavish and extravagant fight scenes, and I'm using those words a lot. But knowing that The Assassin is not a movie like that, that The Assassin is a movie that is so its own thing, I just think the fight scenes just fit perfectly into the whole vein of the movie.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't have a worst moment.
Me neither.
My worst moment is none. Zilch.
Yep.
Cop out, maybe, but whatever. Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question,
Yes.
as I usually do at the end of our discussion.
Yes.
It's a very simple question, but I want to know, just what your answer is. Would you recommend this movie to a friend who loves movies?
To a friend who loves movies.
Yeah.
Not to a friend who...
I mean, a friend who doesn't love movies or just goes to the movies to see Transformers, I don't know if it would be even worth it to recommend. Obviously not. But to a friend who loves movies, because this is a movie that is quite trying. You know, I mean, it does take some resolve to not only... it does take some resolve to not only comprehend but to enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
To a friend who loves movies, to a friend loves movies, would you recommend this movie, knowing that it can be so difficult to absorb and to?
Yes, I would.
You would,
especially if they love movies, because if they love movies, they would watch anything. I know it's tough, but
it's interesting you say that, because I write for Hooked on Film, and we've got a team of 5 writers, including myself. And by definition, it's a film website, so by definition, we should all love movies. But I don't know if I would recommend this movie to at least 2 of them.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if they would like this movie.
Interesting.
This is an interesting movie to recommend or to not recommend, because of just the way it is.
Then let me rephrase. I think if the person you're recommending it to truly loved movies, like really lived and breathed movies, then yes, I would. But if that person was like, I like movies, and even if the person said, I love movies, but then they only watch mainstream stuff, then I would not recommend it. I wouldn't. And also, another kind of like a group of people that I would recommend it to is cinematography buffs. I would recommend it to cinematography buffs, because I know a couple of people who are really full on for cinematography, like myself.
So that they can just kind of tune out and just watch the movie. So they can even watch the movie on mute, really, and just enjoy the visuals.
Yes, I would.
Interesting. Do you have anything else to say about The Assassin?
Do you have a rating for it?
I do have a rating. And I've sort of fought with myself over this rating.
So did I.
By 0.5 of a star. Oh man, so that's going to be exactly the same thing. What did you end up adding the star or subtracting the star?
Adding.
I don't know now.
Really?
Because I was so torn while I was writing my notes. And I'm still torn now. So I still...
okay, what were you torn between? What and what?
4 and 4.5.
Yeah, so was I.
Yeah, I don't... I kind of fell on 4. But now that I'm looking back and realizing that I don't have a worst moment, by definition, it should be 5. But I'm not going to give it... I'm not thinking 5. I'm not feeling 5. So then it should be 4.5. It's a very difficult movie, I think, to rate.
It is.
Because it's a very different movie to watch.
Yeah, when I was writing my notes, there were so many times where I wrote 4 And then I wrote 4.5. And I went back to 4.
Yes.
And then back to 4.5.
Yeah.
I landed on 4.5 though.
Yeah, Can I go 4.25?
No.
I'm going with 4.25.
No.
Yes.
No, it's full star or
no,
half star.
4.25.
There's no quarter star here.
We're moving on to the recommended.
No, come on.
Now,
you are Mr. Cop-Out.
I am Mr. Copper.
Come on.
Yeah, 4.25. Okay. Take from that what you will. Yeah, well, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's a difference of 0.25 of a star.
Yes, whatever.
I still highly recommend it, and I suggest you see it. But please know what you're going in for.
Yeah,
do not expect
that is the most important thing.
Yes, do not expect Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or you will come out crying.
And that's why that is one of my recommended viewings.
Come out crying.
No, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Yes,
of course.
And funnily enough, both my recommended viewings were made in the year 2000 or released in the year 2000.
Okay, then I know what the other one is.
Yeah.
Jay, why don't you tell the audience and tell me as well what your recommended viewings are for this week?
So yes, one was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Of course.
Because if you are going, well, I guess it's not really a recommended viewing, more of like a substitute viewing.
So if you're watching The Assassin halfway and you're like, this is not for me,
go to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Yeah, because if you go into The Assassin expecting this wire kung fu, right? It's wire fu or whatever you call it, and you would be disappointed. I think you would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would recommend Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon in place of that if you want the fight scenes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then my other one is In the Mood for Love. Because, well, yeah, like I said earlier,
directed by the fabulous Wong Kar-wai.
Yes, directed by Wong Kar-wai.
And
shot by Mr. Mark Lee Ping
Bin, yes.
Yeah. And I recommend that to my cinematography buffs.
In the Mood for Love.
Yes, as a recommended viewing for The Assassin, because I think it would supplement The Assassin in terms of cinematography.
Okay.
In the Mood for Love, when I first watched it, the first thing that really struck me was cinematography and the score. All right, and which were the two things that really struck me when watching The Assassin as well. We forgot to talk about the score.
We didn't talk about the score.
The score in The Assassin was it was interesting. It was an interesting score. There were a lot of times where it was just these drums rumbling, as even like they were just having they were just conversing, right? They were having a dialogue.
It's very subtly ominous.
Yeah, it is. I really like that.
We did note the score as we were watching the movie. You're right.
Yeah, and In the Mood for Love has a marvelous score. That is another movie where the score perfectly supplements the film.
Yeah, and
the cinematography is beautiful, and everything about that movie is beautiful. So yeah, that is my other recommended viewing. What are your recommended viewings? You have 3 recommended viewings.
Yes, like I said, I have 3 recommended viewings. My first one, I kind of chose it for the same reasons that you chose Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but not necessarily as a substitute viewing. It could be a substitute / supplemental viewing. I chose the 2008 martial arts movie Ip Man.
Yeah, I thought you would.
Yeah, because Ip Man is one of my favorite martial arts movies.
Yes. By far.
Yeah, it is a fantastic movie that chronicled the fictional, semi-fictional story of Ip Man, the famed teacher of Bruce Lee. It was directed by Wilson Yip, and I'm choosing this movie because I suppose, yes, if you're watching The Assassin and by the halfway mark you're like, I'm getting out of this place before my brain implodes.
Yeah.
Go see Ip Man.
Yeah, that was my thought with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah, so
for me, I didn't recommend Ip Man because Ip Man was very grounded in reality.
Whereas The Assassin and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon are not so much because they have this whole wire fu, as you say it.
Yeah, because I thought of Ip Man.
Fair enough. Well. That's a good choice. That's a good reason. I chose it simply because I love Ip Man tremendously.
And I don't blame you.
And I still think, okay, even if it's not a substitute viewing, even if you are able to sit through The Assassin, see Ip Man anyway, because I think it showcases spectacular martial arts.
Yep.
Spectacular Wing Chun.
Oh.
It is a gorgeous movie to behold.
Amazing
Donnie Yen is
fight
outstanding,
scenes.
and it's just a marvelous movie.
Brilliant choreography.
This interesting that both our choices are Asian movies that are popular in the West.
Yeah.
Ip Man is very popular in the West. So is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting that we both chose movies to kind of complement this movie. My second recommended viewing is an interesting one because, I chose this movie because of that IMDb review that I read, and how I think Western audiences perceive this movie. I chose 2001: A Space Odyssey, directed by Stanley Kubrick, 1968, because when this movie came out in 1968, everyone hated it. Everyone hated 2001: A Space Odyssey.
It's a bit like Psycho, isn't it?
Yes, but people walked out of it.
Oh, yeah.
People just were appalled by it because they had no idea what was going on. They had no idea what was going on. It's you've got this almost half an hour stretch at the end of the movie that is just colors whizzing by your eyes. It's what is happening? What is happening in this movie? Why is he suddenly in this white room as an old man? And why is the monoliths? No one knew what was happening at all in this movie. And I think the only reason now, obviously not the only reason, but one of the main reasons. Okay.
One of the reasons.
Yeah, it's not even the main reason. One of the reasons that it's become such a classic movie now, first of all, it's because so much time has passed and people have had time to revisit and look at this movie, but also because it's an American movie. And
I think it's also because of the name that's attached to it, Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah,
I think
exactly. Stanley Kubrick, everyone knows Stanley Kubrick, and he's made some wonderful movies that are not obscure and impossible to follow. I'm not discrediting 21 in any way. It's a marvelous film, but it's like The Assassin in that you watch it now and you have no idea what's going on. You have no idea what's going on for some stretches of the movie, but it's gorgeous, as was 21: A Space Odyssey. Yes, I suppose you could argue that 21 is different and better because it's got a great villain in Hal. It's got a semblance of a plot when Dave and Hal are kind of going at it in this kind of psychological chess match to defeat the other. But there's still an overarching story in The Assassin. So I think, again, if you watch The Assassin and you sit through The Assassin, and you come away from The Assassin with thoughts and your own opinions about it, go sit through 21: A Space Odyssey and try your best to put yourself in the shoes of a 1968 audience. You would come away from that movie feeling the exact same way from The Assassin.
Yeah.
What's going on? This movie sucks. It's stupid. It's just visuals and images and colors, and there's nothing else. And there are hardly any characters. There's no story. It doesn't make sense.
I think it's fascinating that one is set in the 9th century in the past, and one is set in 2001, which is
way in the future. And they've both kind of tackled their subject matter in this very obscure, abstract way, which is rather fabulous. That's my second recommended viewing. My last recommended viewing is not a movie, but it is an episode of a documentary. Can you guess the documentary?
The story of film.
Yes. For you listeners out there who are not aware, Mark Cousins, who is a famed film critic and writes for Sight and Sound magazine, he wrote, directed, and photographed and composited a wonderful documentary series on film. It's called The Story of Film and
15-part documentary series.
Yes, it's a 15-part documentary series called The Story of Film and Odyssey. And it literally chronicles the history of film. It starts with almost starts with the invention of the camera.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts with the Cinematheque and the Lumiere brothers and the first films that were ever shown to an audience. And it ends with movies like Inception and the coming of the digital age and the advent of 3D and CGI. So it literally spans the gamut of cinema history. It's marvelous documentary series.
Yeah, if you want to know anything about film, watch that whole documentary series and you would know everything.
I recommend the entire series to anyone listening here. The Story of Film and Odyssey. Go look it up. You can buy it on Amazon. You can, if you're in Australia, you can buy it at JB Hi-Fi. You can buy it, I think, at the ABC shop. Go buy it and watch it. It's a marvelous film documentary series.
Yes.
And I'm picking episode 13 So this is episode 13, more closer towards the end of the series. It's called New Boundaries, World Cinema in Africa, Asia, and South America. And this is...
We just watched that recently.
Yeah, we just watched that. And this is a movie... this is an episode... I chose it first and foremost, yes, because it features Hou Hsiao-Hsien. It Mark Cousins narrates and talks about Hou Hsiao-Hsien and his work, and he sort of dissects...
yes, and it also... Sorry, dissects what?
No, it dissects A City of Sadness, which is Hou Hsiao-Hsien's sort of masterpiece movie. But what were you going to say?
No, yeah, because that episode also talks about the other filmmakers that we have mentioned in this episode, like Zhang Yimou and Wong Kar-wai.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And what is great about this episode, because as we said at the start of this episode, film is a global thing. And this episode, it so clearly says in the title of this episode, World Cinema in Africa, Asia, and South America. So this episode spans the globe. Well, almost.
Yeah.
And it covers a lot of directors and a lot of film movements from around the world that a lot of Western audiences are not aware of. So if you want to see what cinema has done around the world, watch this episode. And also watch it for Hou Hsiao-Hsien and to sort of enter his psyche and to understand his approach to making movies. I recommend episode 13 of The Story of Film and Odyssey.
That's a very interesting recommended viewing.
Yeah, so those are my 3 recommended viewings: Ip Man, 21: A Space Odyssey, and The Story of Film and Odyssey. So two of them have the word Odyssey. Yeah, so it's an Odyssey that you're going to embark upon in one way or another. Yeah, so that
wraps it up.
That wraps it up for Hou Hsiao-Hsien's The Assassin, a truly remarkable, if not mystifying and befuddling movie. Bewildering movie, but absolutely stunning to behold. Truly recommended. Go see it. It's out in cinemas now. It's playing at Luna Leaderville. Oh crap! I can't remember if it's playing at Leaderville or Cinema Paradiso. Go visit the Luna website and find out the showtimes and go watch this movie.
This is for our Perth listeners.
Yeah, this is for listeners in Perth, Australia. Go see it. Next week on the Critical Reel, it's a big one. Why is it a big one? Why? Tell the listeners, Jay, why next week is going to be a big episode on the Critical Reel.
Well, a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away,
there were stars.
Yes. And there were wars.
And wars.
Yes.
And there were Star Wars.
Yes.
And the Force.
And it awakens.
It awakens?
Yes.
The Force awakens.
It was asleep.
Star Wars, The Force Awakens.
Yes.
From slumber.
It was asleep. Now it's awake.
And it's an episode of a number 7.
Yes. Of a 7 persuasion.
And it's opening, I think, on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Which is tomorrow.
Yes.
And we're going to be reviewing it next week on the Critical Reel. So next week it's Star Wars. Well, it's not Star Wars week. It's Star Wars next week. Big episode coming up. I'm so excited. We're going to watch it tonight. Yes. We're going to see the movie tonight, the 12:15 screening. We're so excited to see it.
We're going to go to sleep after this episode and wake up for the film.
Yep. And so we're going to be reviewing it next week. Episode 21 of the Critical Reel. It's going to be all about Star Wars. Yeah, and also stay tuned to the Star Wars episode because we will be talking about the week after that and the week in between because we've got some interesting we've got an interesting thing happening in the week between our Star Wars episode and the episode after that. So stay tuned to our Star Wars episode. We'll talk about that when it comes. Just want to remind you guys once again that you can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/The Critical Reel. Follow me on Twitter, please, at The Critical Reel. Subscribe to this iTunes channel. Please download our episodes and rate and review everything that you see. Jay, where can I find you once again?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DialogueSC.
Wonderful! That wraps up our episode of The Assassin. Hope you enjoyed this episode and hope you are now encouraged to see The Assassin. It will change your... No, it won't. But it will be a movie.
Yup.
Okay.
That you should watch.
Yes. Until next week, may the Force be with all of you. Watch movies till the day you die. Goodbye, people.
Goodbye.